A very good morning, children, and welcome back to our lesson, The Little Girl, second part. In the previous class, we have seen the characters of the father, the mother, and Kezia. Kezia is a little girl, and she is a very important character in the story. And the father is portrayed as a very domineering character. He is also very careless about his use of language. When he uses the language that he uses in the story, we have a feeling that he is very unempathetic towards others. He doesn't understand how his choice of language would affect the emotion of others. For example, that of Kezia. And the mother is seen as a very insipid and insignificant character who is always ready to please the father. And she is also not very sympathetic towards Kezia. Now, let us go over to the next part, that is part 2. She sat on a stool, gravely watched him until he woke and stretched and asked the time, then looked at her. So, who is this she? Remember, who is this she? She is Kezia. Where is she now? Where is she now? She went to see and talk to the father and the mother. So, she went inside the room where the father and the mother are retiring, sat on a stool, and gravely watched him until he woke. Gravely. She was not smiling. It was a very grave attitude. Gravely watched him until he woke and stretched and asked the time, then looked at her. Don't stare so, Kezia. You look like a little brown owl. Now, how would you feel, children, if you are called a brown owl? Especially from somebody whom you love so much. But the father doesn't care. He says, she looked like a brown owl. One day, when she was kept indoors with cold, her grandmother told her that father's birthday was next week and suggested she should make him a pin cushion for a gift out of a beautiful piece of yellow silk. So, grandmother, we see, that is very sympathetic towards her and very understanding. She reminds Kezia of a very important day in her father's life, that is, his birthday. And she suggests that Kezia makes a pin cushion, a cushion for the pins, for the father. Then, laboriously, with a double cotton, the little girl stitched 3 sides. But what to fill it with? That was a question. Laboriously. When Kezia started working on it, when Kezia started working on the pin cushion, it was done with labor. That means she is not very experienced in stitching work. Whatever she was doing, she had to put a great labor, a great effort. So laboriously with a double cotton, the little girl stitched 3 sides, but what to do with it, what to fill it with, that was the question. The grandmother was out in the garden and she wandered into mother's bedroom to look for scraps to stuff the pincushion with. On the bed table, she discovered a great many sheets of fine paper, gathered them up, tore them into tiny pieces and stuffed her case, then sewed up the fourth side. She had already sewed up 3 sides of the pincushion, left the fourth side, and she was going to her parents' room, to her mother's room, to find something to fill the pincushion with. Now, that night, there was a hue and cry in the house. There was a hue and cry in the house. She does not know. Kezia doesn't know the reason for the hue and cry. People were shouting, there were angry voices, and people were, there seemed to be a kind of a commotion in the house. Father's great speech for the Port Authority had been lost. Rooms were searched, servants questions. Finally, mother came into Kezia's room. So, what was the commotion for? What was the hue and cry for? Father has lost something very important. It was a prepared speech. It was a prepared speech of the father for the Port Authority. Then servants were questioned. Then the mother finally came into Kezia's room. Kezia, I suppose you didn't see some papers on a table in our room? Oh, yes, she said. I tore them up for my surprise. What? Screamed mother. Come straight down to the dining room this instant. Now, look at the mother. The daughter said, I tore them up for my surprise. And she started screaming. She did not listen to the ending part of her words. She was willing to take. She was willing to listen to only that word, I tore up. The mother did not care the remaining part of her speech, for my surprise. That is why she screamed. And she is so angry, she says, come downstairs this instant. And she was dragged to where father was pacing to and fro behind his back. So she was dragged down. She was not called down. She was dragged down. Well, he said sharply. Mother explained. He stopped and stared at the child. Did you do that? No, she whispered. She started stammering again. Mother, go up to her room and fetch down that damn thing. See that the child's put to bed. Now the father is talking of Kezia as the child. Third person, this instant. Crying too much to explain, she lay in the shadowed room, watching the evening light make a sad little pattern on the floor. So everything about her is so sad. Crying too much, she lay down in that shadowed room. The room is shadowed now. The word shadowed shows her emotion. Okay? Shadowed room, watching the evening light. The day is also dying. Evening light, making sad patterns. The patterns are also sad. That shows her emotion. Okay? It is an expression of her emotion. This paragraph. Trying too much to explain. She lay in the shadowed room, watching the evening light make a sad little pattern on the floor. Now here, look at the words that shows her sad emotion. Shadowed room, evening light, and sad little pattern. Then father came into the room with a ruler in his hand. So he had a very thick, very big stick in his hand. I'm going to beat you for this, he said. So she is going to be beaten up. Oh, no, no, she screamed, hiding under her bedclothes. So the little girl is hiding. He pulled them aside. He, who is he here? Kezia's father. Kezia's father pulled them, the bedsheets, aside. Sit up, he ordered, and hold out your hands. You must be taught once and for all not to touch what does not belong to you. But it was for your birthday, came down the ruler on her little pink palms. Now, the father also did not care to listen to what Kezia was saying. If he had cared, he would have known that whatever mistake the little girl made was made with her best intention. The intention was to make a gift for his birthday. She said, but it was for your birthday. But the ruler came down on her. Down came the ruler on her little pink palms. Hours later, when grandmother had wrapped her in a shawl and rocked her in the rocking chair, the child clung to her soft body. Now, you see the difference between the attitudes of the mannerisms, the behavior of the father, the mother, and that of the grandmother. When we are talking about the grandmother, the writer gives the adjective soft. Okay, clung to her soft body. Now, there is a very pathetic line here. What did God make fathers for? She sobbed. Because for Kezia, the father is a terror figure. Now, children, you cannot imagine of losing your father, because your father is very dear to you and the father is very nice. Now, what did God make fathers for? She sobbed. Here's a clean hanky, darling. Blow your nose, go to sleep, pet. You'll forget all about in the morning. I tried to explain to father, but he was too upset to listen tonight. So, the grandmother tried to explain that Kezia had torn up the paper to make a pin cushion for the father's birthday. But the father was so angry that he was not ready to listen to the explanation of the grandmother. But the child never forgot. Next time she saw him, she quickly put both the hands behind her back, and a red color flew into her cheeks. Now, what is this? The child could not forget. And so when she sees the father, she remembers the incident when she was beaten up, and so she quickly put the hands behind her at her back, and the red color flew on her face. The McDonalds lived next door. This is an important paragraph. The McDonalds lived next door. So next door lived another family called the McDonalds. They had 5 children. How many children did Kezia's family have? Kezia's family had only one child, Kezia. Kezia is the only child we know so far. But McDonalds have 5 children. Looking through a gap in the fence, the little girl saw them playing tag in the evening. Now, in the evening, the McDonalds, the family, they were playing. But did Kezia's family play together? Did Kezia play with her parents? No. She only got beatings from the parents. Look at the other family, the father with baby Mao on his shoulder, 2 little girls hanging on his coat pockets, ran round and round the flower beds, shaking with laughter. Kezia had been crying. The McDonalds are shaking with laughter. Once she saw the boys turn the hose on him, and he tried to catch them, laughing all the time. So even the boys, turned the hose on the father, but the father is not angry. He's only laughing and running after them to catch. Now, you see a great difference, a big chasm of difference between the 2 families. The McDonalds have many children, and Kezia's family have only one child. So who do you think is a better off family? A family who is doing better in life. Kezia's family must be doing better. But there is no joy. The child is not able to enjoy in the family. She is always under pressure. She is always afraid of the father. At the very sight of the father, she will hide her hands. She is relieved when the father goes away to the office. But look at the other family, the McDonalds. They are happy. They are playing with the father. They are making fun. And their house is full of laughter. So children, this is an introduction to a new family that highlights the difference between the two families. So you can also say that the McDonalds are a foil to the family of Kezia. This McDonald's family, this event of the McDonald's playing in the garden is mentioned, this event is added in the story in order to highlight the cold atmosphere in the house of Kezia. So these are the things that you have to keep in your mind. Now, children, I have asked you to frame questions you have not framed. Anyway, why I'm asking you to frame questions is that when you try to frame questions, you go through the text more thoroughly and you are very clear with the ideas contained. I tell you, you are always welcome to ask me questions. So, I'm not taking much and I'm not giving you much pressure. Please go through this portion only. And once again, please make questions. Thank you. Good day.